Hello and happy Monday morning. I'm so happy to see you. And wait a second. It's not Monday morning at all. What day is it? Yes, it's Tuesday afternoon, and I'm so sorry I had to reschedule, but I'm really happy to be here with you. Yesterday at Monday morning at my usual 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, I was in an airport getting ready to get on an airplane, and it was entirely my intention to have Monday morning coffee from the airport, the very, very busy airport, or possibly even from the airplane. And my dear partner David pointed out to me that that could potentially be very stressful if there was a lot of background noise, or if I don't know, if the connection wasn't good or something, and then like kind of feeling like I failed at something I tried. He was like, maybe it'd be better to reschedule. And this person knows me very, very well. So I decided to reschedule per his excellent advice. So here I am on Tuesday afternoon. And I chose afternoon because my brain is still kind of in Pacific Standard Time, and there was a lot of traveling yesterday. So you can probably see I'm a little bit tired today. Had kind of a weird sleep last night, so better to do it in the afternoon so I can be a little more alive for you. Now I do try to present myself exactly as I am, however I am, but if I can like pull one little lever and have myself be a slightly better version for you, then I will. Yeah, David says there were a ton of people there. The airport was just ridiculous. Like, I think everybody is traveling to see family, traveling for holiday. We saw lots of people who are very obviously going on a tropical holiday, which is lovely to see. Good morning, Scott. Morning, yes. Hey, I'm still drinking coffee. It's half-calf coffee, though, because it's my afternoon coffee. And I'm actually trying to cut down on the caffeine a little bit, but Also, the sunglasses, I have to share. Do you see this? Do you see this delicious, delightful business? These were my mother's sunglasses, and I spent the weekend with my family, with my siblings, scattering my mother's ashes in the Snoqualmie River, where I grew up with my mom. And these were her glasses, and I was going through her things and I found them. And it's interesting because when I was a piano teacher, my piano students would give me piano things all the time. Piano scarves, piano statues, piano everything. And I was like, I hate piano stuff. Don't give me piano stuff. I don't, but now that I'm a composer, and also somehow now that my mom is gone, who was my piano teacher when I was little, I'm like, give me the piano bling. I want the piano bling. So I'm really excited about my piano sunglasses. They kind of haven't left my head since I acquired them on Saturday. I found them and said, can I have these? So over the last 2 weeks, I've been in Seattle. We've been visiting David's family on the Olympic Peninsula, and then seeing in this crazy 5.5-day whirlwind as many friends and families we could possibly cram in. Like, we're talking like 3 social events every day, where I was like, we were all trying to be our best, most connective selves so that we could just really, see each other for that first time in a year and a half. So that was pretty intense, but during that time, I was staying with our friends Jeff and Britt, and they have the keyboard that I played Monday Morning Coffee on last week. And I started writing a song, and it's this piece that is very peaceful and floaty, ethereal, almost like wispy in its atmosphericness. And so I'd like to play that for you. It's interesting, this keyboard seems to be, I wrote Skyscraper Sunrise on that keyboard, and now I have the seed of something else. And I think it's gonna probably be a part of my next project, along with Emerge and the Chisos Mountain Sunset and these other pieces that I've been sharing lately about kind of light. So I think this one is going to fit in there too, and I'd love to play it for you. Oh, buenas tardes, David. Yes, so I'm going to play this for you. It doesn't have a name yet, so if you have any ideas, feel free to hit me with them here in the chat or in the comments later. If you are watching this and it's not live, there is a live chat that happens as it's being aired on YouTube. But after the fact, you can comment, and then the comment will be there for always, and other people can go in and see all your comments. So that's cool too. So I'm gonna play this for you, and what's been happening with pieces that are like this, which is this kind of like a pattern-based piece. You'll hear there's a little bit of repetition and kind of like this feeling of almost circularness. to it. Some of my music does that. And when I'm in the process of something, a piece like that being super duper fresh, often what happens is I'll get to the part that I've finished making decisions about, and it'll turn into an improvisation. So that is probably what's going to happen here, and then I'll stop at some point because, because we got to stop. But you might even hear where it turns from what's been written into an improvisation. It's something to listen for, and also listen for those kind of patterns that I was talking about. You can even listen through the rest of my catalog because there are other pieces like Kingfisher that have these sort of like circular patterns as well. So I'm going to have one more sip of coffee for luck and share this sort of sparkling, gentle atmosphere. Like kind of imagine this is what I needed at moments this past week, that like a beautiful, sparkling, gentle fog just picking you up and surrounding you and protecting you and just kind of giving you this safe, beautiful space to exist in. It turned into improv, and then it became a sudden mess. So, but that was my sparkly fog song, and I guess I probably shouldn't call it a beautiful fog because that's not quite, words are interesting and titling is interesting because I can use all these different words to describe it and then play it, and it makes sense, and I could tell a whole story, but with a title, you have to choose like 2, 3, 4 words, sometimes one word that just like exactly gets it, or at least leads people in a direction that's very evocative. Oh, Scott, thank you. I love that, buoyant in an atmosphere of beauty. That's kind of exactly what I was thinking. So, I mentioned earlier that I spent the weekend scattering my mom's ashes, and it was really wonderful. I was not expecting it to be the way it was, but every moment of this grief process has been not what I expected. And I'm wondering, I'm sure plenty of you have experiences with significant grief. And one of the things I've noticed and I've been telling people is, until you've had this experience, you won't know how you'll react and you won't know what it'll be like. And I'm sure it's different for every person that you lose because every relationship is so individual. But I have to say that the ash scattering was really helpful. It was really beautiful and meaningful. Going back to the place where I grew up, at least where I had my teen years, was really wonderful. The house has been demolished and it's all flower farm and public land now because it was a floodplain. But just being able to go there was still like a swing hanging from the willow tree that was in our front yard that my brother had hung when for my sister's kids like to play on, and it was just, we put some of Mom's ashes under there. It was really beautiful. But one interesting thing I noticed is afterwards, and I wasn't expecting this, I felt less sad. I was expecting myself to be kind of swimming in the sadness a little bit, but I felt less sad because it was so meaningful and beautiful to be there. I'm not sure. Normally I kind of have a question, or kind of I want to hear from all of you, and I feel like I'm kind of swimming around in this sensation, this experience right now, and I don't have a great question, but I guess I wanted to share that experience with you. And while I was playing the piano or the keyboard at Jeff and Britt's, I did practice on Emerge, which I've played a couple of times in the last month to 6 weeks, 8 weeks maybe, since I started writing it. And I've had a lot of comments and messages from you all saying that that one might be your new favorite of my music, of my pieces. And I have been practicing it, and I think I'd like to play it for you today. It's kind of getting more polished, and I'd like to share it in that state with you. And one of the cool things is you can go back to prior Monday morning coffees, and you can kind of find the one where like Emerge was at the state that Sparkling Fog is at. Like I'd just come up with it, and it was just the first part of it. So I want to share this with you, and I feel like my mother would have really loved this piece too. I think about that a lot. Okay, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Anyways, I think about that a lot, the music that I released over the last year. I think she would have been really proud. So I want to play Emerge for you, and I like to imagine for this one like a butterfly coming out of a chrysalis, and that beautiful experience, and being sort of unsure and sort of tentative at first. It's this scary thing, and then you can hear when it becomes this majestic. The butterfly comes into themselves, into the confidence of what they are. So yeah, let's have some Emerge. And notice I'm still wearing sunglasses. Hopefully they don't fall off the back of my head in this, because it gets a little intense in the middle. Let's see if I can keep them on my head.
So that was Emerge, and I'm feeling really excited about that one, really happy about it. Kind of similar to, I think it was last fall, I had my sort of coming into the sunshine, or the sunshine cliffs, scaling the sunshine cliffs, that one, and that one I also feel really good about. And these pieces are going to be on my next project, which my next album is what I mean by that, and I will tell you about it soon. I learned my lesson with the 52 and other things about announcing things too early before they're like not fully formed or close to fully formed. So I'm putting together initial plans for my next album. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to sort of shine some light on you all with my next release. And I can't wait to tell you about it. Okay, I gotta stop talking about it, or it's just gonna slip out. So yeah, I'm curious to hear some of your experiences with grief, but like in the sense of like, you know, what you have found about your grief experiences to be surprising. Because I think, you know, our culture, our society, especially as connected and as educated as so many of us are, you know, we know a lot about grief and the stages of grief, and we read a lot about it, but I think even so, sometimes the personal experience of grief can bring surprising things. And I'm curious to know if any of you have experienced surprising things in your grief. For me, I think I found meaning in things that I didn't expect to. For instance, I brought some of my mom's things home with me. And I found a lot of meaning in having her things. And you know, as you may know, I spent the last like 6 years of my life getting rid of things. Like when I left Seattle, quit my job, I sold almost everything I owned. Like I had divested myself of things, and now suddenly I'm feeling this desire for her things. Oh, Dave. He's saying, Dave is saying here, I'm going to just kind of share. Hopefully that's okay. And that's comment, it's becomes public. But Dave is saying that he experienced some numbness for the first couple of weeks and I think that's really normal. And yeah, I have had definitely periods of numbness. Although it's interesting for myself, everyone functions differently, right? For myself, I do not tolerate numbness. And I would rather it feel awful than numb. And so I'll go excavating if I notice that I'm experiencing numbness and like I should be feeling more in this moment. So I'm going to dig into where I'm going to find stuff that makes me really sad is usually what happens. Oh, Dave says he thinks about his mother often, mostly her witty sayings and wisdom. I think that's really beautiful. You know, many of us have complicated relationships with the people that birthed us and raised us. And I think it's a really beautiful thing to remember the beautiful things about them, the gifts that they gave the world. And it sounds like your mom's witty sayings and her wisdom, maybe that was part of her gift to the world, part of what she brought to you and to others. Well, I am going to do some improvising because that's what I do on Monday Morning Coffee. Every Monday Morning Coffee has at least one improvisation. And the cool thing about improvisation, I say this every time, but it seems like every week there's at least one new person, so I want to make sure and say this, is that improvisation is, I'm just making it up right now. There's no planning, there's no I'm going to just make something up. Sometimes it ends up really special and beautiful, and I get lots of good comments, and then sometimes I'll even go back and I'll watch it again, and I'll teach myself what I did, because it's like a different part of the brain that just comes up with music in the moment than plans and intellectualizes music. So, so improvisations can be they're always really precious gifts of the exact moment in time and the musician's kind of exact moment in time. So let me kind of play some of this, and maybe I can even take us a little bit through. I like direct direction with my improvisation, so maybe I can even take us through some of this grief stuff I've been talking about, because we all know the sadness associated with grief, but what about the joys and the sort of the way that we can celebrate the person or the thing that's lost in a way that we weren't able to before. So let's see if I can do this. Well, that was interesting. I played that first one, and I feel like the kind of griefiness, but the tenderness as well kind of came through. And then I felt inspired to share that last little bit that was totally different. That was the music. I just felt really moved to share that. That was what I played within the minutes after I got the news of my mother's passing. That music just came out of me, and I don't know if you could see my face, like I can't really play it without feeling that again. And I need to finish it because I kind of envision sort of sending her off, up, away, whatever that might be. So I felt moved to share that with you, talking about grief and all that. Let's see, some of you had some really lovely comments about grief, and I want to hear them. Let's see, Scott. Yes, yeah. Scott is saying that letting yourself feel grief and sadness can actually lead to less sadness. And I think that's definitely the case. I think grief and sadness are experiences that we all have, and experiences that as humans we have to have. And if we push it down, it stays. It stays in us, it stays in our minds, and it stays in our spirits, and it comes out in ways that, kind of like little sneaky ways. It's like, hey, I'm important. And sometimes in ways that we really would not choose to be having that grief and sadness come out in a given moment. So I understand completely. And let's see. Oh my goodness. Dave says it's been 17 years. He was talking about his mother. Never forget to honor her and her birthday and Mother's Day. Oh, Dave, that's beautiful. I think it's wonderful and so beautiful that you honor your mother in that way. And I hope that I hope I can do the same. That's lovely. Oh, I see you guys, Dave and Scott are having some really beautiful conversations here in the live chat. I'm hoping, I don't know if the live chat sticks around after it's not live anymore, but I hope it does, because I see Dave and Scott are having some really beautiful conversations around grief and sadness and feeling it, and I love that. And yes, Dave is saying, gotta play this through some decent speakers. And I would say, if you don't know this, many musicians do, but listen to this music if you can through headphones, at least, if you're just listening on your phone, because you'll hear so much more. You'll hear so much more texture and detail in the sound in any music that you listen to. If it's either on good speakers in a good room, so one that there's not a lot of extra noise and one that's not doing weird things to the sound, which some rooms do. Or headphones or earbuds are a good way to kind of shortcut that. And even a cheap set of earbuds will be so much better than your cell phone speaker or your laptop speaker, for that matter. In fact, I discovered, funny story. So I'm remembering, I think it was Wandering Soul. It was my first album. And I got my masters back from the recording studio. I didn't know as much about the process at the time, so I had just the same person do the mastering for me that did the recording, and it was very simple. But I got it home and I was playing it on my little Apple MacBook Pro speakers, and it sounded awful. And I was to David, I was like, what happened to my music? It sounds terrible. And I was but it turns out that it's the speakers. They make such a huge difference. So highly recommended that you have at least a set of earbuds that you can kind of pop in so you can hear the music, you can hear some of those details for any music, because your experience will be so much more rich and wonderful, and you'll feel yourself carried away by the beauty of the music so much more. Let's see. Oh, I love seeing stories of personal work and working to be a better human. I talk about that all the time, and that is my jam. And so I see you, Scott. I see you talking about that in the comments, and I'm so proud of you, because it is hard work to acknowledge that you are not quite where you want to be, and to say, I need to work on this, and then push through the difficulty of things that are hard, things that we're not used to doing. So we all have our patterns, right? Breaking out of patterns is difficult and brave. Oh, and Dave says, not just any old earbuds. That is technically probably true. You probably shouldn't be using like a $2 pair of earbuds, but there are some decent earbuds out there for like even like $20. And the experience will still be better than listening from your phone speaker, your laptop speaker. So, my darlings, thank you for being here with me today. Oh, you can't see my eyes. I feel like I like to be pretty expressive with my face, and sunglasses just make it look like there's nothing going on. I really appreciate you being here with me today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me talk about grief and all of these complicated things, sharing your stories. Scott and Dave, I really appreciate your beautiful engagement in the comments and your bravery with sharing. I love you both. And, well, y'all take care of yourselves. And let this be your weekly reminder. Please do something that just gives you great, uncomplicated joy today. Even if it's like 5 minutes of that thing. We all have 5 minutes. No matter who we are, we can do this. 5 minutes just for you, please. Mwah. Okay, and then so take care of yourself this week. Have a beautiful week, or as beautiful a week as you can. And if you've got the extra bandwidth, hey, take care of those you love, because that's why we're here, right? So I'll see you next Monday. I will be on time, Monday, 10:30 Central Standard Time. And in the meantime, again, take care of yourselves. Mwah.